All right, today we have a replay from Will Francesco and Coops. Slaanesh versus the Tomb Kings. Another matchup of two top-tier factions that don't directly counter each other, so it does end up happening quite a bit in tournaments, though this is a different take on it than I've ever seen. We have double Sepulchral Stalkers from the Tomb Kings, double Necropolis Knights as well. Then we have Cetra the Imperishable on horse with his two most spammable spells to provide the army-wide healing, a front line of Necro Warriors, secondary line of Ushabti, and then 3 Carrion up in the sky. For Slaanesh and Coops, we have, looks like, 1 Hellstrider, 1 Chaos Fury apiece. Alright, sorry about that. Got a phone call in the middle of recording. Let's go. Yeah, for Coops, we have some Chaos Furies, which are already fighting triple Carrion. Then we have Bringers of Beguilement, Exalted Deamonettes. We have 2 of them, but only 1 is the ROR. 1 Forsaken, a whole bunch of Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh, and some Devoted Spears. And then we have an Exalted Keeper of Secrets of Slaanesh, with a lot of the cheap spells to spam out the army-wide ability. So in the sky, the Furies are fighting the Carrion, as we mentioned, and it looks like it used to be a 3v1, but now 2 of the Carrion just abandoned that fight entirely, leaving their last brethren to fight the Chaos Furies alone, and they will lose that. Carrion have rather impressive melee stats for being only 380 gold, but they can't fight a Chaos Fury all by themselves. That's a pretty ridiculous matchup to expect them to win, which I don't think Coops does, just saying. Hellstrider's going to have to fight double Necropolis Knights and Cetra supporting them. That is a terrible fight for them. And Hellstriders, while they are incredible, they're not that incredible. I mean, come on, let's all calm down a little bit here. The front lines have collided. And for the Tomb Kings, the Necro Warriors will trade decently. They are outnumbered 2-1. So it'll be largely on the Tomb Kings to get this extremely expensive Knight force of 2 Necropolis Knights and Cetra in on the melee fight. They also need to get their Sepulchral Stalker somewhere they can shoot at stuff, because the Slaanesh frontline infantry-wise is way superior. So is the Tomb Kings are relying on their cavalry and monstrous infantry, which are superior. Slaanesh is relying on their infantry, and their lord is technically better than Cetra in melee combat, though she is more expensive. And, I mean, she could be easily surrounded by the Necro Knights and take it down. Like, the Exalted Keepers of Secrets are kind of a meme in some ways. Like, they're not a bad unit, but there's a meme about them because they have, like, 0 mass. They get caught up in anything and just instantly die. You can see what we were talking about, though. The Tomb King's frontline is completely falling to pieces. We are down to 2 Necro Warriors, and soon not even that. Bringers of Beguilement chasing off these Necropolis Knights. It looks like they don't want to get caught in here and rampaged. The Bringers of Beguilement do have that as a passive, and they get rear charged by the Hellstriders of Slaanesh. There's not a lot here. You'd think that the Necropolis Knights would be okay, but they're getting worked down by something. Bringers of Beguilement up to 71 melee attack from that spell getting cast, and again, the Slaanesh Lord passive giving them some boosts there. Rampaging Necro Knights are just getting torn to pieces. And yeah, that's toughy. Necro Knights are very expensive. Very, very, very expensive. It can't move as it's just getting beat up by Hellstriders, and somehow the Bringers of Beguilement are also doing decent damage here, so good on them, I guess. Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh with spears end up on the Sepulchral Stalkers. The Sepulchral Stalkers do need to get away from that fight, or they will die very quickly to a much less expensive unit. And Ushabti are now stuck fighting Exalted Deamonettes and such. These Necro Knights have started to crumble. Still getting worked down, mostly by the Hellstriders, who have got crazy value by now. Really? Only 400? What has been doing all this damage to them? I guess it's the Bringers of Beguilement. Even though they're spread out, they've been doing a lot of damage to these guys. More Lashes of Slaanesh come out. More opportunities for the Slaanesh army to get big buffs. And another Ushabti summon has come out for the Tomb Kings, who are quite ahead on the balance of power as of right now. While I disagree, it feels like Slaanesh has been doing great. Wow! Look at that Ushabti die. That summon just came out and it's already, like, gone. So Cetra is now dueling with the Exalted Keeper of Secrets, who currently has Ballet of Blows active, giving it a pretty big buff to its melee combat. And Cetra's going to try to opt out of this fight, but it looks like he will get rampaged to turn him around. Nope, it's not quite going to proc yet. He's doing fine. Okay, now he's rampaging, I think. It's hard to tell. The flag has a bunch of weird effects on it, so hard to tell when he's actually rampaging. Sepulchral Stalkers got away from the Devoted Marauders for a second, but now they are back in combat. They do need to back off. Carrion chased off some things. And where is the other Sneaky Snake Knight? There you are, and you are very healthy. That might be why the balance of power is so good for the Tomb Kings overall. Sepulchral Stalkers, the Sneaky Snakes, and the Ushabti, summoned or no, are fighting to the very last. These Bringers of Beguilement, who are down to 500 HP. Still positive leadership. They're fighting to the very end, boys. That's pretty funny. Sporkle Stalkers are taking their day out on this Exalted Keeper of Secrets, though. She's taking all the damage in the world and not having a good time. Acquiescence is cast on Sporkle Stalkers, giving them 7 melee defense. On the other side, again, these spears get to the Sporkle Stalkers, get to the carrion, and finally get to fight all those big, large targets that they want to. Bringers of Beguilement still fighting, rampaging some Ushopti. These guys never give up. They're a nice little rampage tool, and I do love the Bringers of Beguilement. I think they're a great unit. Necropolis Knights are going to join in the Sporkle Stalkers and join with Cetra. Plus, they get a Jaff's Incantation of Curse Blades upgraded, giving them 16 bonus versus large. They should work down this Exalted Keeper of Secrets, and that should be a death blow for Slaanesh in this game, but we will have to see as these final Ushopti are getting picked apart. Bringers of Beguilement, 168 health, still hanging in there, doing great. Devoted Marauders and more Exalted Demonettes pile in to help save the Exalted Keeper of Secrets. All of these guys are rampaging, and she's just trying to get away, but can't. Though, the Exalted Demonettes of Slaanesh just tearing through the Necropolis Knights. Their stats down to 28-20 for a little bit there when Acquiescence was cast on them. And these Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh with the spears are still chasing the snakes around. I find that infinitely funny. More Devoted Marauders have rallied from fights they won, and they're now just standing around getting perfect vigor, it looks like, just trying to get their vigor back, not blob up too much. As finally the Bringers of Beguilement are brought down, but Carrion also go with them. A final rampage on the Necropolis Knights, this time from Fascination. The Slaanesh army ability drags them back into these Exalted Demonettes, just where the Exalted Demonettes want them to be. Now, Cetra is looking a little alone on the field. Once his very elite knights are taken out by these Exalted Demonettes, which they will take him out very, very soon, he'll leave just the Sporkle Stalkers and Cetra versus all of this. Now, Slaanesh isn't looking the healthiest, to be by any metrics, don't get me wrong, but half-health Exalted Demonette is going to do a lot of damage, and the Exalted Keeper of Secrets can get some pretty good cycle charging in if she needs to. Hellstriders are going to get caught in the rear, and that will push them off. They're fast enough that they might just run themselves off the map before... Yeah, they might run themselves off the map before they rally. Necropolis Knights somehow keeping up with them, 66 speed versus 85, but that's charge bonus for you. And goodbye, Hellstriders. Though, what can the Tomb Kings do about these Exalted Demonettes? My heart says nothing. Bounce power favors Slaanesh as well. Seppi stocks are starting to crumble, and the Exalted Keeper of Secrets will go after the one that is not already crumbling. It's now down to Horse Cetra. He throws one last Nero's Incantation of Protection onto the Sporkle Stalkers to give the army-wide healing, but also to stop them from crumbling so fast. I still don't think that it was really going to be worth a cast. Probably should have just thrown it out himself and charged in there. Sporkle Stalkers are getting taken down. And now Cetra has to charge a whole butt-ton of infantry. Does he have his explosion? He does. It has 0% armor piercing, but to be fair, the Exalted Demonettes have 15 armor, so I think he's probably saving that last explosion for them. Quick Acquiescence lowers his speed by about half, trying to get these Devoted Marauders to catch up to him, but it looks like the Exalted Keeper Secrets is going to take the fight herself, and she takes a nasty blow from Cetra. All of her melee buffs give her melee attack, not melee defense, and she could actually take another big hit from Cetra, but it doesn't matter. His army losses is going to finish him off, though I think he would have struggled with those Exalted Demonettes anyway. For Will Francesco, Cetra himself got 1100 value. One of his knights got the same, 770 on the other. Sporkle Stalkers both did very, very well for themselves. Melu Shopti did just fine. Nekar Warriors did okay, and Carrion did well. For Coops, Exalted Keeper Secrets, that's it. Exalted Keeper Secrets did very well. The Exalted Demonettes did incredibly well. Really impressed with their performance in this game. Marauders of Slaanesh did nicely. Forsaken kind of sucked and died. Hellstriders did okay. One of them got gooned by a bunch of Necro Knights. Probably shouldn't have taken that fight. And the Furies also got gooned. But they were there to like chase down Ushopti Great Bows and stuff, so it makes sense. It was a good game. Roar. Subscribe, yes, yes.